It's October 23rd, 1993. We're in Toronto for Game 6 of the World Series. The visiting Phillies lead the Blue Jays 6-5, needing 2 more outs to push this series to a Game 7. Before this next pitch, we need to understand how a perennial runner-up reached the precipice of a dynasty. We need to relive the drama that's got Philly so close to turning this thing around. We need to meet the wild thing on the mound, the new faces on base, and the familiar face in the batter's box. We need to rewind. The vibes in this Sky Dome crowd are intense. These 50,000 fans are anxious about a potential Game 7, but also ready to explode, since one big swing here could crown a little dynasty, finally. The Jays only recently busted a trend of agonizing collapses. In '85, Toronto won 99 games and their first division title, then blew a 3-1 series lead in the ALCS against the Royals. Toronto held a comfortable division lead in the final weeks of the '87 season, then lost 7 brutal games in a row to plummet out of contention. In '89, Cito Gaston rose from batting coach to manager and led Toronto back to the top of the AL East, but no luck in the ALCS. Similar story in '91. But last year, the Jays made history. Toronto won their division, finally overcame the A's in the ALCS, then took down the Titans of the National League, Atlanta, to become world champions. MLB had its first World Series winner from outside the US, its first black manager to win it all. The Jays did it with a strong pitching staff, boosted by the in-season addition of David Cone, and with a really scary lineup. Joe Carter and Roberto Alomar were both all-star starters who stayed hot in the postseason. 40-year-old Dave Winfield had a bounce-back year, and catcher Pat Borders broke out to win World Series MVP. And the Jays did not rest on their laurels, satisfied with this bunch of champions. Cone moved along, but Juan Guzman took over as ace, and veteran pitcher Dave Stewart came over from Oakland. And while the lineup lost Winfield, it added free agent Paul Molitor, who had a career year in a bruising top of the order known by the acronym WHAMCO. Devon White, Alomar, Molitor, Carter, and John Olerud. An incredibly productive parade of bats only improved when the Jays added veteran speed demon Ricky Henderson as a leadoff hitter, giving us permutations like Whamco and Whackum and so forth. These guys absolutely raked all season long and kept raking in the ALCS against the White Sox, although we'll forgive you if you got distracted by another unrelated story breaking out of that series. In this World Series, still raking. The new guy, Molitor in particular, has swung his way into the hearts of these Canadians. Molitor opened the Jays' 3-run first inning with an RBI triple, then got Toronto their most recent run with a 5th-inning homer that helped drive Phillies starter Terry Mulholland off the mound. Molitor's the first player to record multiple doubles, triples, and dingers in one World Series, and now he's on first base, the potential winning run. But, hey, the other side of things hasn't gone so hot, has it? All that scoring, yet the defending champs sit a miscue or two away from facing a Game 7 tomorrow. Dave Stewart was the Blue Jays' starting pitcher tonight, and he hoped to break an individual streak of 3 straight World Series losses, dating back to when he was with the A's in the 1990 series. The drought continued in Game 2 of this series, when the typically strong Stewart fell apart against the heart of the Phillies lineup. That lineup is no joke. Just ask Atlanta, who looked like a sure thing to reach their 3rd straight Fall Classic when they pulled ahead 2-1 in the NLCS. But after Danny Jackson outpitched John Smoltz to win Game 4, the Philly bats came alive in big moments. Lenny Dykstra saved them from collapse in the 10th inning of Game 5, then a combo attack of Mickey Morandini, Dave Hollins, and Darren Dalton battered Greg Maddux to win Game 6. It was a shocking upset, but the Phillies have been known to shock. Tonight, Stewart had them under control. He took a no-hitter into the 4th inning, then got out of a bases-loaded jam in the 5th to maintain Toronto's lead. And then the 7th inning happened. A 10-pitch walk, a Morandini single,
Line drive, base hit.
and boom, more clutch hitting from Dykstra. There went most of the lead, and there went Stewart. The Jays perhaps misplayed their relief from there. Left-hander Al Leiter stayed in the bullpen, while righty Danny Cox gave up the game-tying RBI single to Dave Hollins batting lefty, then let lefty Jim Eisenreich load the bases with this weirdness.
Bases full of Phillies with one out.
Leiter came in too late and surrendered a sac fly and sixth run before he got out of the inning. Damage done, lead gone, announcers flummoxed.
And I do not understand Cito Gaston's use of Al Leiter in this game.
The Phillies once looked doomed, but rallied. Again. The Jays looked secure, but had one nightmare inning. That push and pull led us to here. The World Series hangs on this inning, this moment. So, who's going to decide how it goes? Look around and you'll see Henderson and Molitor already on base. The guy who put them there, the guy entrusted with protecting this lead to force a Game 7, is him. Mitch Wild Thing Williams. Mitch Williams is a good pitcher. He's had a solid, if erratic, career, mostly as a closer. They call him Wild Thing because, much like Charlie Sheen's character in Major League, Williams has occasional control issues. My dude pitches like he's covered in scorpions, throwing so vigorously that his follow-through often drops him to the dirt. In entertaining fashion, Williams saved a career-high 43 games for the Phillies this season. When it came time to close out the NLCS upset in Game 6, it was Williams on the mound, retiring 3 Braves to push Philadelphia into the World Series. Watching Wild Thing pitch in said World Series has been an experience. He got the save in Game 2, but Game 4 was another story. That game in Philly was an offensive bonanza, mostly for the home team, who led 14-9 entering the 8th inning, poised to tie the series. But then, Larry Anderson got in trouble to start that 8th inning, so Phillies manager Jim Fregosi sent in Williams to stop the bleeding. Instead, Williams gave up an RBI single to Tony Fernandez, an RBI single to Henderson, and a 2-run triple to White that ended up winning the game.
15-14 Toronto!
Rather than stop the bleeding, Williams ripped open the wound. People did not take the loss well. Phillies ace Curt Schilling could be seen covering more and more of his face with a towel while Williams pitched. Then Schilling addressed media wearing a pin that said, "I survived watching Mitch Williams pitch in the '93 World Series." He said Williams gave it to him. Even jokey lack of support wasn't the coolest way to handle a struggling teammate who'd get death threats for his Game 4 performance. Never mind that Schilling himself ate shit and surrendered 7 runs in Game 1 of the series. Anyway, Schilling finally did his job in a complete game victory 2 days ago, which is why we're watching Game 6. And now Williams is on the mound trying to protect another late lead in hopes of tying the series. His quest for redemption has been shaky so far. The first guy Williams faced, Henderson, told everyone in earshot he was going to walk. And indeed, after a strange moment in which Williams didn't notice time was called and almost hurled anyway while everyone fled the scene, he delivered Henderson balls 1, 2, 3, and 4. So the best base stealer in human history took first. Not great. Next up was White, the guy who'd finished off the Game 4 disaster. He worked a full count, but flew out. 1 out. Next up was the guy who will probably be MVP if Toronto wins this, Molitor. Trusty as ever, Molitor cracked a single. 2 on, 1 out, and we've got all manner of nervous mouth stuff taking place. Williams is spitting up a storm. Fregosi looks like he's gonna choke. Schilling's been face deep in his towel all evening. But all is not lost. If Williams can find at least 1 out here, the man on deck is Alfredo Griffin, who came in earlier to pinch run for Olerud. Griffin's a fine player, but also 36 years old, without a single plate appearance to his name this whole postseason. Get to him, and you might just get the save, the win, and a Game 7 tomorrow. First, Williams will need to handle the fellow at the plate, Joe Carter. On one hand, Carter has never before gotten a hit off Williams, so that's encouraging. On the other hand, Carter's got kind of a knack for these moments. In his 20s, Joe Carter hit quite well. Since joining the Jays in 1991 as a 31-year-old, Carter's become a superstar, an Ironman and regular MVP candidate among the best in the majors at driving in runs. And Carter's made a habit of sealing victories. In 91, Joe hit the RBI single that clinched Toronto's division win. Toronto's 92 World Series victory wrapped up in Joe's glove. Same with the ALCS a couple weeks ago. I know a couple of those are gimmies, but the point is, Carter's plenty familiar with big moments, and he's produced in this series, including 3 hits in Game 4 and a sac fly to drive in a run tonight. Now he could make history. A hit would be enough. A trophy-winning walk-off homer would be something else entirely. It'd be the first since Pittsburgh's Bill Mazeroski did it in Game 7 of the 1960 World Series. Carter's facing a pitcher's count, 2-2, because his last swing was this hideous flat-footed strike. One more cut like that, and he's probably going to have to cancel the Sunday plans he told us about.
I plan on watching some football tomorrow. Have a parade and watching some football.
But if Joe Carter can make some more magic, then he'll turn this crowd, once so accustomed to falling short, into a 50,000-person party. They already got to see one World Series clinched on the road. To watch the Jays win another with an even mightier squad and at home would be a whole new level of euphoria. Or this could all go south. Thanks to Curt Schilling's Game 5 dominance and tonight's remarkable 7th inning, the Phillies just need 2 outs to win this game and carry momentum into a do-or-die Game 7. That all depends on Mitch Williams, the wild thing, the pitcher who's been brilliant at times, baffling at others, and who could really use a win right now. One great pitch to Joe Carter would get him most of the way out of the jam he just created. Let's see who wins this battle, and let's listen to radio announcer Tom Cheek call it. Welcome to a moment in history.
A pitch on the way, a swing and a belt, left field, way back, Blue Jays win it! The Blue Jays are World Series champions as Joe Carter hits a 3-run home run in the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays have repeated as World Series champions. Touch 'em all, Joe. You'll never hit a bigger home run in your life.
Thanks so much for watching Secret Base. Here's some more stuff you might like to watch, including some more baseball rewinders. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel and visit our website. Come make an account and comment and hang out with me, please.